Jessica said that her life consists of two phases. The first phase of my life is almost over. The second phase is about to begin. My feelings are mixed and intense. I just have to hold on a little longer before it's too late to back out. The first phase of her life consisted of two parts, pre and post-R. In her pre-rev life, she was absolutely miserable. I was ugly, unruly, with mousy brown hair, an acne-disfigured face, glasses, a double chin, small breasts, belly fat, and a big ass. She survived through self-deprecation. When someone made fun of her appearance, she agreed with them, laughed with them, and then cried inside. She had several acquaintances and not a single friend. Meet, then Ray showed up. It was a normal day in the school cafeteria. Some of the girls she knew teased her about how she would never get a date because of the way she looked, and she laughed along with them. Ray was a student whom everyone respected. He was athletic, smart, and good-looking. They knew each other but were not close. Stop it. There is no reason to treat her this way unless you deliberately want to be mean and cruel. I will personally beat up every guy you dare try to date if you don't stop your harassment. She was completely shocked. No one had ever protected her before. The girls looked ashamed and went to sit elsewhere. Ray sat down opposite her. She had no idea what to say. Her joyful feelings about what happened quickly evaporated. Jessica, you are as bad as they come. How can someone respect you if you don't respect yourself? You are a good person, and I think you look just fine the way you are. She started crying loudly. Ray teased her because she had never been on a date. Let's forget about this insult. Jessica, would you like to go to dinner and a movie with me this Friday? She wasn't sure what she said in response, as her mind was in a fog from what he said. Obviously, she said yes because they went out that Friday and many times after that. When she was with him, she always felt beautiful, valued, and respected. They talked about many things, but her feelings towards herself were a common theme. Because she had a date with someone else, she was only happy when Ray asked her out. By the time they left school, two things had been settled. She had a modicum of self-respect, and she was in love with Ray. They went to college together and soon began living in the same apartment. He was her first and only. She enjoyed the sex they had. Every time there was no moment with a marriage proposal, they both just knew they were going to get married. A couple of months after graduating from school, they both got jobs. They chose a house that could accommodate them and a couple of children. A few years later, their son arrived. It was kind of planned and kind of a surprise. They were ready to have kids and just didn't take any precautions to keep her from getting pregnant. Her pregnancy was terrible. She gained almost 23 kilograms. Her acne-ridden face looked like she had moon craters. For the last 3 months of pregnancy, her son seemed to know how to target every nerve in her pelvis just as she was falling asleep. She thought she was miserable, but she discovered that things could get worse. She had morning sickness and nearly died before Ray took her to the hospital. Fortunately, the child and she both survived. She begged Ray to let her get her tubes tied. She didn't want to go through that again. He agreed. Nathan, their son, was Ray's clone. They became close at first, which was good because she was in pain and didn't have much maternal feeling. Ray was and remained a great father. When they were together, she felt more like a maid than a wife or mother. She wasn't that unhappy. That's just the way things were. What made her depressed was the way she saw herself in the mirror. She looked even worse than when she was a teenager. Ray never complained and never stopped telling her that he still found her beautiful. No diet or exercise helped for a long time. 2 incidents gave her the motivation to change. One of Nathan's friends, who was about 4 years old, pointed her out to his parents. She's fat. She laughed, but it hurt. It was very painful. Secondly, her parents died in a car accident. Although this made her depression worse, it gave her a large amount of money that she could use however she wanted. It seemed like every TV ad at the time was about facelifts, acne treatments, double chin reduction, belly fat removal. She went to Ray and told him that she wanted to use her inheritance to pay for various procedures to improve her appearance. She cried when she asked. Ray said it was her money and she could use it however she wanted. He said he was fine with how she looked now, but if it made her happy, then he didn't mind. That's when she started to change. It took 2 years of surgery, including breast implants, liposuction, and a tummy tuck. She also attended fat camps, which helped her get where she wanted to be. During this time, she had to often be away from home. Ray and Nathan seemed to be doing just fine without her. Nathan even joked when her face was wrapped in bandages. "Look, my mom is a mummy." Along the way, she received advice on makeup and clothing. A new blonde hair color and hairstyle were added, as well as a manicure and pedicure. New tinted contact lenses replaced her glasses. She realized that she had achieved her goal when she worked as a model in a clothing store, and the saleswoman said, "Honey, you look so good that you could cure erectile dysfunction." Her attitude also changed. She started making friends with other gorgeous women, kind of like a MILF club. Now, instead of talking about childcare and housework, she talked about sexual techniques and affairs. For these women, affairs were not something to feel guilty about. They were deserved. The idea of a novel became an exciting fantasy for her. The danger of sneaking up unnoticed and possibly getting caught. A chance to have sex with another man. Ray was the only man she ever had sex with. She blamed the unfairness of life for missing out on the opportunity to be with other men. She had overcome the injustices of life. So now it was time for her to get compensation for those miserable years of her ugly duckling life. She was in debt. My romance began when she was supposed to meet her friend Mary Jo at a new Mediterranean restaurant downtown. She highly recommended him to her. She got there early, which was good because the place filled up quickly. She sat at a round table outside with an umbrella over her head. After waiting for a while, she received a message from Mary Jo. Something happened at work, and she couldn't join her. She was just deciding whether to stay or not when he approached. His name was Gregor. He was a Greek god. She was immediately fired up with desire. She thinks he asked if he could join her for lunch since there were no seats available. He sat down, although she doesn't think she said anything. My romance has begun. He was everything new Jessica wanted in Somi. Dark-haired, dark-skinned, rich, and something of a bad boy, pretty much everything Ray wasn't. It didn't take them many meetings to end up in bed. It was wonderful. She didn't hesitate to try anything he wanted to do. She denied Ray after a few months. She decided that she wanted Gregor all the time. He agreed. He planned for her to go to Greece with him and leave her old life behind. He offered new Jessica exactly what she wanted, a new life. Although she still loved Ray, she was in love with Gregor. She was grateful for what Ray did for her, but he was not her soulmate. Nathan was a good kid, but he was and always will be a daddy's boy. During her surgeries, they proved that they could do it without her. She suffered a lot in her former life. Moving over in a foreign country with the love of her life became her main goal. Gregor asked her to start transferring her money to a bank account in Greece. He tried to help her set up, but transferring funds was such a hassle that she just gave him access to her accounts to do it for her. They were waiting for the perfect moment for her to just walk away. Ray could have filed for divorce because he was abandoned. There would be no divorce papers from her to warn him. More chance came when Ray had a week-long workshop scheduled in San Francisco. Gregor and she had a short honeymoon planned in the Bahamas before heading to Greece. It was difficult to control herself, knowing what was within her reach. Any concerns she had about what she was doing were drowned out by thoughts of her time in bed with Gregor and their future together. She was finally going to get what was coming to her from life. Ray entered the house at 6 p.m., more than half an hour later than usual. His tie was off, and he looked terrible. Uncharacteristically, he tossed his jacket onto the couch and headed for the refrigerator. He took a glass from the cabinet next to the refrigerator and filled it halfway with ice from the ice maker. He then walked over to the liquor bar and picked up a Knob Creek bourbon. Once the glass was generously filled with bourbon, he took the ginger ale and drank it to the brim. He immediately took a large sip. He walked over to his deep chair and leaned back in it, trying not to spill his drink. His wife, Jessica, came out of the laundry room and walked down the hallway into the living room. "You are late. I'll have to reheat dinner since you didn't bother to tell me you'd be late," she said. Her husband's only answer was the look of his dead eyes. She decided to be more polite. Now is not the time to make a fuss. "You look exhausted. Bad day at the office, huh? It's good that you have a big trip to San Francisco tomorrow. You can take your mind off all this office madness. By the way, have you collected everything yet?" She found it difficult to act sad that he would be gone for a week when, in fact, she was excited about her planned escape with her lover to the Bahamas. Jessica was about to mention how much she would miss him when he interrupted. No need to pack your things. What do you mean? I am not going to? Jessica was gripped by fear that her plans with Gregor could collapse. Why aren't you going? She asked. Today, I was fired. What? What the hell happened? Why were you fired? I lost my security clearance. My God, Ray, talk to me. What happened? When you lost your security clearance, your words don't make any sense. How could I be the reason you lost your security clearance? Don't you remember when I first started working at Tadine? We both needed security clearances because my dealings with government agencies would be highly classified. Well, your clearance was revoked, which made me suspicious enough to revoke mine. No top secret clearance, no job. Why was my security clearance revoked? I did not do anything bad. I'm afraid Homeland Security doesn't agree with this. An affair with an ISIS terrorist is enough for them. Jessica sat down abruptly on the sofa. Denial was her first approach. That's funny. I did not have an affair with anyone, especially with a terrorist. We're talking about national security. They can find out how many sheets of toilet paper you use per wipe if they want. They showed me photos and videos. Your boyfriend Gregor is not a Greek importer, as he told you. He is a high-ranking ISIS operative. I can't believe how easily you were tempted. Now I understand how little our marriage and my love meant to you, Ree. How can you say that? You know that I love you, and only you. Gregor is just a friend. This is all a big mistake. Show me the photos. They didn't give me a copy. This is part of the evidence they collect. You'll see them soon enough. By the way, a friend cannot have sex with my wife, especially when she allows him to have sex in a way that she does not allow her husband. Her pretense that she wasn't having an affair quickly fell apart. I never allowed him to do anything perverted to me. You mean you have photos? I know that's not true. I can't believe the government spied on me. What I do in my personal life is my own business. What about my right to privacy? I think I'll sue. Will you sue the government? Ha! You lying hypocrite. You should be grateful. Why should I be grateful? My future is ruined just because of your stupid security clearance. You should be grateful that the FBI found out about him when they did. You thought you were going to the Bahamas with him. Do they know about this? Yes, Gregor planned to kidnap you. If you didn't come willingly, he was going to demand a ransom for you to force me to divulge some secret information. Whether I gave him the information or not, you were going to be sold as a white slave in the Middle East. Jessica thought for a couple of minutes. You were lying. You found out about me and Gregor and are making up lies to keep me from going with him. Well, that won't work. He is my soulmate. We were destined to be together. Your lie wasn't even that smart. Well, I'm not going to buy it. I'm calling him right now. Reapproached her, knocked her mobile phone out of her hands, and slapped her in the face. Jessica began to cry. You won't call him. The feds arrested him hours ago. I hope they get all the members of his cell. They will come for you last. You will be charged as a co-conspirator. What? But I didn't know anything about it.
I'm innocent.
Innocent? You're having an affair, and you're planning to run away with all my money. Do you have any idea what your lover did with all our money that you gave him access to? He only took my half. He had to open an account so we could live in Greece. You're an idiot. He took all our money. They were used to buy S4 explosives and detonation devices. They have plans to blow up a children's hospital. Wouldn't that be a punch in the gut? Can you imagine the headlines? Terrorist wife helps ISIS bomb babies. Your name would become a household name. You would go down in the history books as an even greater traitor than Benedict Arnold. No one will ever name their girls Jessica again. Don't worry. You can still become famous. The feds pray that they can get to Gregor's men before they can detonate the explosives. If not, you will be at least semi-famous? Or is it shameful? Jessica sobbed loudly. It's too terrible to imagine. What have I done? Ree? I don't know what to do. I was so stupid. I can't believe I fell for his lies. Please, I don't want to go to jail. Can you help me? Unleash Earth, would I want to help you? I wouldn't want to help a wife who forgets to keep her vows, to leave everyone else. I wouldn't want to help a wife who was stupid enough to believe that a wealthy importer would be attracted to a married secretary. However, I'd like to help a victim who had AIDS, leprosy, STDs, and Ebola before I'd want to help you. Do 11 happy years of marriage and a child mean nothing to you? Yes, this means that I was fooled for much longer than I thought. This means I have to become a single father without a job. This means I have to explain to my son why he won't see his mom again. This means that he and I will have to endure years of suffering, even though we have done nothing wrong. I didn't mean to hurt you, and Nathan. I know you would feel bad at first. Oh God, I don't know what to do. Do you want me to take some of my things and leave you? Don't need to worry about that. The feds will be here soon. You won't have to worry about food, clothing, shelter, toiletries, or entertainment for a long time. But I didn't know what Gregor was doing. Of course, you see it, of course. The government will see this. You were willing to give up your current family to risk your entire future to be with a man you didn't know what he was doing. Perhaps you will escape severe punishment as long as they believe that you could be so stupid or so overcome with lust. If you're lucky, I'd guess they'll put you in a program that will hide your identity. In fact, I think my son and I would have to participate too. The bad guys may want revenge on all of us. Oh my God, do you really think our lives will be in danger? I can't believe this is happening. Of course, nothing threatens us. ISIS likes to be merciful to people who kill their jihad warriors, so we all be hiding together if I have anything to say about it. The doorbell rang. Dian Dong, you might as well open the door. Dear Homeland Security will arrest you. No, no, no. Please, help me.
I'm sorry.
I was fooled. I never wanted to hurt anyone. You had no problem leaving me and our son alone, hurting our feelings, and taking our money. I see no reason not to repay you in kind. Open the door before it's broken down. Jessica stumbled towards the door, still crying. She opened the door and saw a man in a dark blue suit and hat. He said, "Jessica, you've been served." He handed her an envelope with divorce papers inside. Jessica looked at Ree with a big question mark on her face. Ree smiled. "You bastard. You really made up this story about Gregor. He's not a terrorist." "Well, I needed proof of your affair. I've had my suspicions for some time. I knew some of it, but you filled in the details for me. Our entire conversation was recorded this evening. Gregor is not a terrorist, but he is a liar, a cheater, and a jiggo. He was deeply in debt and planned to take our money and run away. When you arrive at the airport for your trip to the Bahamas, you won't find it. He and our money would be out of the country. You'd be standing at the airport feeling very, very stupid. What do you know? That's what he was going to do. The police did arrest him this afternoon for theft, conspiracy, and, in my opinion, alienation of affection. The IRS will likely add 1 or 2 charges. He confessed without any pressure. He wasn't very kind in his description of you and your sexual abilities." Looking for a way out, Jessica came up with, "Ray, honey, you saved me once. Do you have enough love left that you can give me a second chance?" "You think so? Do I have any options in a divorce?" "A little leave now, and I'll pay for a motel room for 2 weeks in exchange for not telling the world about your betrayal. I will give you half of my property and your car. I will get primary custodial of our child with free visitation rights, especially given your willingness to give him up. No alimony, no child support. It's still cruel. I can't believe you. After what you did to your family, I can't say what I would like to do. Just get out. I have to prepare to tell my son about his cheating mother." Years later, Ree and Nathan got along really well, just as Jessica predicted. Along with work, being a good father was enough to keep Ray busy. Nathan became actively involved in sports: football in the fall, basketball in the winter, and baseball in the spring. Ree rarely missed a game, parent-teacher conference, and participated in many fundraising events. In the social arena, Ree did find a couple of friends who had benefits that allowed him to trim his antlers. None of the friends came close to what could be called a relationship with Ree. Soon, Nathan will start driving, and Ree will have less free time. He suggested that maybe then he could think about a serious relationship. One day, the doorbell rang. He opened the door and saw Jessica, the old Jessica. It was obvious that she had canceled most of her previous surgeries. She looked almost like the Jessica he first fell in love with. After waiting for him to speak, she broke the ice. "I answer your unspoken question. Everything except working with the chest. I just couldn't refuse them." I spent almost all my settlement money to cancel the surgeries because I wanted to show you that I can be the same Jessica again, the one you fell in love with and helped become a worthy wife and mother. I would like us to start over, at least as much as possible. The way I look now won't entice men to hit on me, so that temptation is removed. I want my actions to prove to you that I will return to Jessica, who loves you more than anyone else. I can't prove it to you unless you let me be there for you and Nathan. I know it will take you and Nathan a long time to trust me again, but I promise you can. To prove my sincerity, I spent every cent I have prepared for my arrival here today. I have nowhere to go. I am completely in your power, fully ready to prove her love for her family. She knelt down. Deep down, I believe that your heart is big enough to let me back in. I beg you, for the sake of our family, I promise that I will do my best so that you will eventually look back on this time and feel grateful that you gave me a second chance. She looked at him hopefully with a tear-stained face. Ray took a deep breath and replied, I think I'll have to remain ungrateful. He slammed the door in her face.